Welcome creators, I'm the Hommeyosh, and this is my channel, where we inspire creativity, explore game development, and bring Unreal Engine projects to life. In part 17 of the third-person game series, we're expanding on the weapon system by building a weapon pickup using blueprints that allow the player to interact with the weapons in the level and equip them instantly. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So with that said, let's jump into the action. Okay, first thing I want to do after opening our project in Unreal Engine Editor is I want to go to the third person folder under the blueprints, and I want to get into the game mode, BP third person game mode. Real quick in here, off of right before delay and after hidden in game, I want to make sure that the player can't move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of the spawned actor BP third person character, and what I want to do is I want to get character movement. Okay, get character movement. Okay, and off of get character movement, I want to make a disable movement. So there it is, disable movement. And I want to plug this in right here after set actor hidden in game and the delay. So now there is a disabled movement. So if you're going to hit play, you won't be able to move while he's porting in. So afterwards, instead of enable movement, you want to have a set movement mode. And you want to go ahead and plug that in after delay. And you want to set the mode to walking so the player can't walk. So if I go and hit play and I can't move if I'm hitting forward until he's ported in, until after the delay. I should have done that in the last video. That's a quick fix for part 16. All right, so now let's get into the weapon pack. So I'm going to go into my content drawer here, and under contents, the weapon pack that we've been using, I'll put the link in the description if you're just following along for the first time. But if you've been following along, we downloaded this weapons pack. It's free from the Fab store. And what we're going to do is inside that, you'll find all these subfolders. We want to make a new folder, and we're going to call it weapons pickup. Oh, I can't spell today. What is going on? Button pickup. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to go inside this subfolder weapons pickup, and we're going to create, first, we're going to create a blueprint class. We're going to call on an actor, and we're going to call this BP weapons pickup. And while we're in here, we're going to make another blueprint. We're going to right click and we're going to go to blueprints, and we're going to hover over it, and you'll see a blueprint interface, and that's what we want. We want to call this BPI underscore weapons. Okay, real quick while we're in here, all we're going to do that change this to grab. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and compile that, and we can go ahead and actually I'm just going to push this to the side here. Okay, so I'm going to go into the BP weapons pickup. Okay, while we're in the BP weapons pickup, I want to add some things here. First thing I want to add is a collision. We are going to get I'm going to go with the capsule collision, so we can change the radius of this collision. We can have it fat, short. That looks good. That'll be fine for now. And next I want to add a static mesh, which I am not spelling correctly today. So a static mesh, and I want to name this weapon display. Okay, so this weapons display, we're going to go ahead over here in the details panel with weapons display checked. We can go ahead and put the static mesh. We're going to find our weapons, and So I'm just going to go and put the sword static mesh. Yeah, just like that. Compile that. Now I want to go back into the component and I want to go ahead and add a rotator. Rotate movement. Now I want to go to class settings. In class settings, you'll see interfaces. And what we want to do is we want to implement the interface. And that was our BPI weapons. Okay, so now we implemented the interface, the BPI weapons. If you come over here to under my blueprints, you'll see that we have interface with the drop down and we have our grab. Under the grab interface, we go ahead and right click and implement event. So there is our event grab that what we're going to be using. So what I want to add is just a print string. Okay, we add the print string and we're just going to put in grab for testing purposes. Compile and save that. And after print string, we can add a destroy actor. This is just for testing purposes. Okay, next I want to make an E key. So I'm going to go into my content browser here in the third person character blueprints. I'm sorry, just the third person character folder. We want to look for input, and then under actions, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this sprint one. I'm going to hit Control D, and we're just going to change. We're going to keep the IA. We are just going to call this equipped. Okay, I got this spelled wrong. Let me fix that. Get rid of the T and get rid of the and just add ED. There we go. Equipped. Make sure the spelling is correct. I want to go back into inputs, and under the IMC defaults, that's where we're going to call on the new event action input. So under mappings, like I was saying, we're looking for input mapping, default key. So here they are right here under the mappings, and we're going to create a new one. Let me close this sprint here, and we're going to look for the equipped, and we're just going to go ahead and under that sprint, let me close the sprint. Under the equipped, I'm going to press the little keyboard looking button here, and I'm just going to hold in E, and that goes as, and our input action is E now. So we can go ahead and call on that. So we can go ahead and close that back up. Good. And so next I want to go into the BP third person character blueprint. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to find a spot down here. Just this is my sprint. Let me go ahead and comment that. Okay, so we're going to go to the bottom here. And what I want to do is I want to get that IA width. Okay, this is our action. When we press E, this is going to go ahead, and it's just like if you would bring in just like the E key or something, but this is an input action. This is a trigger. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to look for a for each loop, what we want. So this is what it should look like for each loop. And we got an array here. Okay, so off of array, we want to get overlapping actors. Here's our overlapping actors. And the one we want to get is the BP that we created, the BP weapons pickup. Okay, so now we want to, off of array element and the for each loop, we want to get does class implement interface is what we want. We're going to go ahead and put the class on the array. We want to get a implement, and as you can see, does object implement with interface. We want to get that, and we just look up the BPI interface that we made. So it should be the only one that's there. We go ahead and put that in there. Okay, so off of this, we want to go ahead and make a branch. So off of return value, just go ahead and press B. And there's our branch. We go ahead and from loop body to branch, go ahead and connect those. Let me compile and save. Next, we're going to call on that grab that we made inside of the BPI weapons to be called grabbed here. So let me go back into the third person character. And we are going to we're going to go off the array element here, and we're going to call on the grab. And as you see, it pops up, grab message. And let's go ahead and put that in. Go ahead and compile, save. So now to test this out real quick, I'm going to go into the label and I'm going to go to my weapons pack and the subfolder that we made here, the weapons pickup. We'll have our BP weapons pickup, and we're going to go ahead and drag that into the scene, carry this up a little bit, and we go ahead and hit play. And you can see that it's rotating, the rotating movement. And we're going to go ahead and collide with the collider, and I'm going to hit E, and it goes ahead and destroys the actor. Now, instead of destroying the actor, there's something else I would like to do. And I'm going to go into the event graph here, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this destroy actor. And what we're going to do is we got the capsule, that would be our collision, and we got our weapon display, which is, I got that wrong. I'm not supposed to have a capital E. That's supposed to be a lowercase weapon display. Okay, let me get rid of that. Let me change that weapons display. We're going to go ahead and drag that in. Okay, first thing we want to do is we want to get an enable collision. Okay, there's our set collision enabled. So we're going to go ahead and attach that right after print string. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this, and we're going to attach the target to the weapons display, and we're going to go ahead and make sure both of these are false, so there is no collision. Okay, so next I want to go ahead and set visibility. So we're going to go ahead and connect that, and there we're going to keep this false, so there'll be no visibility. So let's go ahead and test this out. So it should be work the same way. So I pour it in, and it go ahead and disappears. So instead of destroying the actor completely, we can call on this later. Let's go ahead and put a delay on this, and let's set this for 0.5. And what we want to do is we want to get all of this here, and we're just going to go ahead and copy it and go over here. We want to paste it, and we're going to connect it afterwards. And what we're going to do is set physics, collision enabled, carry in physics. The same with this. We want collision enabled, carry in physics, and we want to have new visibility. So we can go ahead and compile and play that now. We can go ahead and pick up 1, 2, 5, and it comes back. We pick it up and it comes back. So you can set the time, or if you just want to completely destroy the actor, you can do that. But I don't really like destroying the actors unless I have to. Okay, so if you wanted to add a light, you can add a light, and you can just do the same thing, but lights don't have any collision, so you just want to set the visibility. You go ahead and compile and save this. Okay, next thing, we're going to go back into our viewport here. And what we want to do is we want to create a variable. So under variables, I'm going to call this weapons variable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the eyeball is checked so we can call on it. And we just want to get a static mesh. So we want to get a static mesh object reference. That's what we want. So this is going to allow us to change our static mesh. Okay, we want to go back into the BP weapons pickup, and we want to get the construction script. And what we want to do is we'll go ahead and drag in the weapons display. And what we want is a set static mesh. There it is there, set static mesh. We go ahead and plug this into the construction script. And now we want to place our variable here. So we'll go ahead and get our weapons variable. Go ahead and bring that in. We can go ahead and connect it right to here. Let me go ahead and compile and save. So now if we go back into the level, if we have our our BP weapons pickup selected and go under weapons visible, you can see the sword's not in there, but we can go ahead and change this variable and we'll call on our sword and it go ahead and bring the sword back in. So this would go ahead and change it with just changing the variable. And we can change the variable inside of the player, the BP third person characters. Okay, so now I want to go back into the BP third person character, and in the viewport you can see we already have a mace here, but this is a skeletal mesh. We want a static. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and just select none. Sorry, we just press the arrow here and it's going to go ahead and clear that out so we don't break anything. For now, we're just going to keep that in there just like that. And what I'm going to do is just add a static mesh, and I'm going to call this weapons component. We just put weapon comp. Weapons comp. Okay, so under weapons comp, we're going to make sure this is under the characters mesh here. And I'm going to go ahead and change the socket to hand, right? Just put hand and you just get right hand. So we can just move this a little bit. Okay, that's going to be fine for now. Later on, I'm going to show you a better way to go ahead and line this up to your socket. That was a little bit crazy. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the event graph here. Okay, so we are going to come off this for each of the array element. We're going to drag over here. We want to cast to BP weapons pickup. We're going to cast to, drag this up here. We're going to go ahead and compile that. Okay, next we want to get the weapons display. Spelling that wrong. We want to get the get weapons display. Okay, we want to get static mesh. Okay, so now we want to set the static mesh. So we're going to grab our weapons comp, we're going to drag that in, and we're just going to set static mesh, and we're going to go ahead and connect that. And so we're going to take off of the weapons display the static mesh. We're going to go ahead and connect that to our new static mesh. So what we're calling, if we go back into the BP weapons pickup, we are calling on the weapons display and the static mesh variable inside the BP third person character. So we're going to go ahead and push the E key. It's going to go ahead and hit that grab that we set up. And now we are casted to the weapons BP, which we are calling on these two, the weapons display and the variable. So now we can change set static mesh here instead of it being blank to a weapon. So we're going to go ahead and compile that, and we're going to go inside the level, and we already have that set to the sword. So like we can change it over to, let's see, the mace. So we can go ahead and keep the mace. Go ahead and save that. So now I realize something. I want to go back into BP weapons pickup. I didn't put a delay after the, actually we can get rid of the print string. We don't need to test this anymore, and we just want to add a delay. Go ahead and put that in. Okay, so it doesn't automatically go ahead and set the collision. You get a delay, so it's not automatically disappears before it goes into the player's hand. So let me go ahead and test that. So as you can see, now it appears in the player's hand, but we got to go ahead and set up that socket. Two things that I want to do. Okay, so now I want to go, while I'm in the BP third person character selected, I want to go into the melee attack notify that we set up to give good damage. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change this right here, the get socket location. We're going to keep it as hitbox. What we're going to do is bring in our weapons comp, and we're going to go ahead and trade that out. So we're not using this anymore. And as you can see, it says hitbox. We got to go ahead and change the mesh. So I'm going to go into the contents. I'm going to go into the weapons pack here. And under the texture weapon, under the static mesh here, you have the weapons kit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to go into each of them. First, the mace here. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, under socket, you see that it has no socket, so we're going to go ahead and add a socket. So we're going to call this the same hitbox. We're going to make sure it is the same on all of them. So I'm going to hit F2 and I'm going to go ahead and copy that. So we want hitbox on the socket location, and make sure you put it where you want it. And then you just go ahead and save that. And then we can close that out. And we can do that to all of them that so we're going to get the, we have the sword. So let's go ahead and enter the socket, and we're going to put that hitbox in there. Then we're going to go and save it. Just go through all the weapons and make sure that it has a hitbox. This one has to be a little scaled out a little bit. No, we want to change that. We want to change this right here. So, there we go. There's our hitbox for the sword. Yeah, just go through all of these and just make sure you have a hitbox on them where you want damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to go into my BP third person character, and I'm going to go into my viewport and click on my character here, and I want to go into its folder to locate the skeleton. So I'm going to open up the skeleton here. So what I wanted the right click on it. We want to go ahead and add a socket. And now we can change this to hand or weapon. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So now we can add it to the asset. Now we add the mace. There we go. Now that looks correct. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go back into the VP third person character, and let's click on our weapons comp. Now we can go ahead and change this to the correct one. And our weapon. And as you can see, it's correct and it's moving with the character. So now we can go ahead and compile that and play. Now I hit E, I pick up the mace, and I can swing it. There's one more thing that I want to do. Let me go ahead and stop that. I want to go into the melee attack notify that we created. I would put this video in the description when I made this. I think it's part 6 or somewhere on there. I'll go ahead and put that in the description. So if you want to know how to make the melee attack notify. So we made before, we had the get weapon socket. We have that on the hitbox. What I want to do is, so I can see that it is working, for the sphere trace for objects, I want to go ahead and draw the debug for duration, and I want to change this to 15. So let me compile that. You go ahead and hit play again. And as you can see, the player's hand has a hitbox as well. that's for his hitboxes on his hand. But when I get the mace, the hitbox, as you can see, is where we put the socket at. So that is this hitbox. And that would be the same for every weapon. Now let me go and stop that. So for this right here, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. So I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate. So we can drag out another one here. I'm going to put that down a little bit below. And we are going to make sure we are on the BP weapons 2 here. And we're going to go ahead and change that. Which one did we have? Yeah, let's just do this. Did we do the sword? I'm going to make sure it was the ones we had a hitbox under. Go check. Not the weapons pickup. Under the mesh. Weapons. Weapon kit. Let's get this hammer here. So I'm going to go ahead, bring this down a little bit. So with this selected, we can go ahead and hit this little arrow on the inside of the circle, and that would up here. So we can have a couple of these. We can go ahead and hit Control D again, and this. And let's go back inside the weapons pack. So we can go inside of its folder, just find it a little bit easier. Just make sure. Did we do the sword? We did the sword. Find the sword. There it is. And we just go ahead and change that by hitting the little. Make sure you have it selected. Hit the little circle with the arrow in it, and there's our sword. We go ahead and we can save that. First, we test out our mace. Everything's working. Now we test out our hammer. And as you can see, the hitbox collision is right where we put it. It's just the top of the hammer only. And we go ahead and grab our mace. Red is it's not hitting anything. You can see it hits our green. And our player is dead after 2 hits. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. We built a complete weapons pickup system, and now your player can press the input key and instantly equip your weapon while in the weapons collision. In the next video, I will be debugging the melee attack, health system, and the weapon sockets. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Stay inspired, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next video.